Because you were a work of art, I wanted to paint your portrait, but I didn't know when to start until you became an abstract. Still, that's life.
This one's called The Blue, Blue Sky. My heart breaks when I hear your story, the weeping in the night and the screaming in the light. All over the world I hear your cry, see the trickle of your tears and know the searing of your soul. My cry, my tears, my soul. You couldn't save your own children in that second when you faced down evil, the moment when you saw it in their eyes, the malice of those who seek to justify their attempts to subdue your spirit in words and spittle and phlegm and bile. Though your lips were silent, you were not quiet. Though you lay down, your body resisted. Though you acquiesced with smiles, your glance was subversive. Though you answered to a new name, you knew who you were. Though they clothed you in uniform and forced you to fight, your dreams were of flight. No matter what they did, your heart held true, your memories would not die. And when the day comes when you step away, making footprints on the glistening snow, as you walk to freedom, you won't hold back. You'll smash their fragile authority and wipe the smirk from their faces. You'll set the truth free. You'll know, for the first time, that you are good. Your love held strong and your soul was not bought. Know that it was not your fault. Know that they told you lies, and that it's them, not you, who should be punished, that it's them, not you, who are bad. And as you look up from the frost on the ground, through the trees and the rooftops beyond, you will finally see, with all clarity, the blue of the blue, blue sky. This one's called Sealing Up the Cracks. Oh yes, we rushed to seal up the cracks all right, to stop the rage exploding, because what people might do would be too dreadful to contemplate. Too dreadful even than this. Oh yes, we call upon well-worn rhetoric, words that heal, words that beg, words that try to salve the hurt. Their aim to bring us all together, to unite on this day, to stop the bleeding, the seeping out of pain that might lead us to blame one another, anyone but ourselves. For when did we try to stop this? When did we do enough? When did we ever do enough? When did we stop eating our comfortable suppers and get out there to stop this happening? Oh yes. We rush to seal up the cracks all right, lest history catches up with us and decades, no centuries of bloodshed and torture catch up with us. And forgetting who was really to blame for waging those wars, we think to take things out on others of the new generation, thinking that might, could, would assuage our suffering, would cauterize the grief. Oh yes, we rush to seal up the cracks all right, because revenge is sweet, but solidarity is sweeter still. Yes, solidarity is sweeter still. So draw close, my friends, and throw your arms around me. This one's called After the Winter. After the winter, when the icicles of fear chill your heart, when people are removed without warning, and when the trees lose their leaves and the family sits round the table stunned with grief. After the winter, when frost appears on the windscreens and the earth seems to crack, when people are fired upon without warning, when the rain soaks your feet and you sit at your desk sick at what you have witnessed. After the winter, when the sky is white and the sun piercing bright, and when the shelves are empty of food and people jump in front of trains or lie frozen in doorways and the children stop laughing, too scared to speak. Then comes the blossom, the sweet pink flowers, heavy on the branches, and the daffodils, tiny yellow trumpets on tall stems in the grass. And then comes the bird song, as if nothing has happened, birds that have seen everything, that have heard everything. Then will you text? Will you walk in the streets? Then will you message and start to send tweets? Then will you phone and talk to others? And as the temperature rises and the winds abate and the seashore looks inviting, then will you remember? Then will you do something? Some small thing that shows you have thawed, that shows that you too are springing into life.
So this is called Imperial Hotel, and with thanks to a Zen master, 1934 to 2016. I remember you well in the Imperial Hotel, red poets in all shades but shady. Your unceremonial master Mike mentoring, bluebird guruing, Mr. Bart, Dadaist dancing, Terry Dog and Derry Dog and Debbie campaigning, Julie of Ely tender swaying, Journo Phil, Dylan Teeden crooning, Weird Units invisible screening, Lightning Williams and Blackwood Patrick raging, Neath's Night gets everyone laughing, Gustavius's polar bears are showing, Lawman Richards glaring, gnashing, Virtuoso Church always dazzling, Host Jose French welcoming, Johnny Edwards Costa Price fighting, Buddhist Barry Raucous chorusing, Strummer Bevan Churchill butting, hard-folking Pudners, I lost my business, duetting, and Jim scientifically reviewing, as the poets keep on coming. And if you're lucky, JD's ghost you'll see, though he's mostly up here in the tower with me. Yes, all you red poets, I remember you well, down there in the Imperial Hotel. Thank you.
I'm going to read a poem by W. Shaw, which I just found tonight actually. So, it's called The Unknown Citizen. He was found by the Bureau of Statistics to be one against whom there was no official complaint, and all the reports on his conduct agree that in the modern sense of the old-fashioned word, he was a saint. For in everything he did, he served the greater community, except for the war till the day he retired. He worked in a factory and never got fired, but satisfied his employers, Fudge Moto Incorporated. Yet he wasn't a scab or odd in his views, for his union reports said that he paid his dues. Our report on his union shows it was sound, and our social psychology workers found that he was popular with his mates and liked a drink. The press are convinced that he bought a paper every day, and that his reactions to advertisements were normal in every way. Policies taken out in his name prove that he was fully insured, and his health card shows he was once in hospital but left it cured. Both producers, research and high-grade living declare he was fully sensible to the advantages of the instalment plan and had everything necessary to the modern man. A phonograph, a radio, a car and a Frigidaire. Our researchers into public opinion are content that he held the proper opinions for this time of year. When there was peace, he was for peace. When there was war, he went. He was married and added 5 children to the population, which our eugenist says was the right number for a parent of his generation. And our teachers report that he never interfered with their education. Was he free? Was he happy? Well, the question is absurd. Had anything been wrong, we should certainly have heard. That's it.
Immigrants. I was born and brought up in Cardiff, a second generation immigrant, because my mum and dad were from North Wales. We then migrated from Cardiff to Swansea. It was like moving from England to Wales. I then went to Mid Wales as migrant to Aberystwyth when I was a student, before I emigrated to Oxford to work for Oxfam, where I was regarded as an immigrant, because those English internationalists, so-called liberals, decided to call me Taffy, because I said, by there and by here, which English people do not do. After that, I migrated to Manchester and rented a house from a Pakistani man, an immigrant who was a great landlord. That was before I came home to Wales, moving to Abertrudo, a village which a century ago was a handful of houses before all the immigrants moved in, from North Wales, South Wales and England. Added to by a few Poles after the Second World War, a few Asian families later, and we still get immigrants from Cardiff, where I was born. We're all immigrants, really. Plutonium. If plutonium could be smelt, it would stink of the darkest, dankest pit, of the rankest decay that could turn our stomachs and make us all sick for millions of years and putrefy the world. If plutonium could be heard, it would be white noise, a never-ending sibilant hiss of death to the silence of life, a sigh for centuries, a multi-millennial shriek of silence gone wrong. If plutonium could be seen, it would look like an alien ghost, a tumour in the air, a nightmare wreath like smoke, escaped from hell, clinging to you and killing you in its embrace. If plutonium could be felt, it would stun you and hold you in an invisible vice, cloaking you and soaking you in its deathly rays, laying you down to your death. I don't want a nuclear waste dump near me either. Mrs. May's Brexit or not? So how do you like your Brexit, Mrs. May? Would you prefer a full English Brexit to a continental breakfast Brexit because you fear a double croissant? Come on, Mrs. May, stop being weak and unstable. Make up your mind. Do you prefer a hard-boiled Brexit or not? After all, you said Brexit is Brexit, so tell us what kind of Brexit you want. Is it a poached Brexit? A soft, rather soggy Brexit? Or is it the kind of Brexit that you can encapsulate in a Brexit cup, nice and clean and clear? Because, my dear, I have to say, it's looking more like a scrambled Brexit these days. I just hope you realise that the danger of a no-deal exit is if it would end up being a Brexit burnt toast, a scorched exit that'll be indigestible to everyone, no matter how they voted. So I hope you see sense and settle for a French omelette rather than full English Brexit, or maybe diet and just skip Brexit altogether.
I hope I have. Anyway, Harry's getting married. You heard about Harry up the street? Getting married he is. You know, one they call Ginger Boy. He's a bastard, they say. A proper one, see? Nobody ginger in his family. Anyway, his mum's dead. Really strange circumstances. And his dad remarried. You know, they call him Dumbo. Huge sticky out years. He's marrying this girl Megan. She's from somewhere foreign. Fancies herself as a bit of a model. And she was in that panto in the new theatre, Christmas time. Weird one called Soups, about kitchens. Sounds totally boring. Everyone reckons Harry's tidy. Fought in Afghanistan. Took a piss out of him at a fancy dress party. Wearing a raghead turban. Well, better than dressing up as a Nazi. His granddad's a miserable old twat, always slagging people off. And his grandma's always dressing up as if she was the bloody queen. Anyway, this Megan's mega lush. So everyone wants to go to the wedding, no matter how foreign she is. Harry drives a BMW and all. Don't know where his money come from. Reckon he's on a fiddle. When I seen that fire blazing through her flats like there was wax, I thought of pint glass, children and teachers, graves of rubble and sludge. When I seen how the Tories didn't want to know, I thought of Lord Robins and George bloody Thomas, of our council who'd been told of the tip moving long ago. When I seen them people come from all over, with clothes and food. I thought of rescuers from all over the valleys, come to search for life in the ruins. When I seen that block, a huge charred remains, a dark memorial to the poor, kept there like battery ends. I thought of a tip come down, how every sum and song never knew an answer or end. Similar. So it's called Anonymous Bosch. When Banksy came to Merthyr, nobody believed it was him. Why would he come here when he done Port Talbot last year? It was a picture of a huge pigeon cacking on this grey pointy tower, a bird with attitude, flown straight from a bus station. It was on a wall up Swansea Road, on her way to Trago. Perfectly picked so people knew. It caused a right commotion. Thousands visited, took selfies. Council done fuck all as always. It was on the news and a front page of a Merthyr. One landowner said the wall was his, but a council claimed it. Put up a screen and fencing, CCTV and everything. Till this local graffiti artist said he'd done it. Anonymous Bosch, he called himself. Then nobody gave a toss. Council withdrew, telly disappeared. It's still there, just as clear. Owner of Trago wants it covered up. Filthy, disgusting muck. Okay?
This is a song by a man called John Tams, but the tune is old and very serious. But he wrote some new words for it, for Remembrance Day. There is a pithead far away, without a winding gear, and there they crucified the pit, and all the jobs round here. So dearly, dearly we need jobs to earn our daily bread. The right to work is all we claim, to keep our families fed. And there is a green hill far away that used to be a pit, but now it's just a grassy bank where picnic parties sit. And deep beneath the quiche Lorraine, the ghosts of miners sing the politics of selfish gain has ruined everything. There is a pithead far away, without a winding gear, and there they crucified the pit, and all the jobs round here.
This one is called The Journey. Looking out of the train window, a light dusting of white frost had settled on the neat patchwork quilt of fields, a picture postcard framed. A fresh light blue sky, as late spring breaks the last vestiges of winter, highlights shades of green-brown fields. Salt meadows, sheep graze, and curlews dance towards the sun. A farmer with a ploughshare turns the earth, slowly, gently, planting the seeds that will grow, nourished by water, sunlight, and the toil of those who love the land. As the train gently rocks and hums a quiet lullaby, time is rewound to when the topography, the gentle hills rising on the horizon, bore witness to a different scene, one of carnage and death, where the hills became a vantage point for the monstrous stuttering clatter of machine guns that cut men in half, spinning their guts and entrails, killing fields of crimson blood mixed with deep mud bones, where shell holes become hell holes, filled with corpses and limbs, and the still living take cover among their dead comrades, a no man's land, pockmarked, churned, barren, where even tree stumps are grotesque and disfigured, and a rat crawls out from a human skull's eye socket. Silence falls eventually. An old soldier, head bowed, remembers. A single teardrop falls. In the distance, a church steeple rises until it touches the sky. Under these hills, black veins pulsated to a rhythmic beat, sounds of the underground. Silence has fallen, no signs of life deep down in the arteries of the earth. The hills are now surface scarred, lacerated by blades that slice horizontal wounds. Single track lines where trees stood, houses rise, desecrating the land. This proud valley, ancient hills, withstood invaders and industry, succumbs to mammon. Thank you.
So this is called Sticks, Nature or Nurture, discuss. Little boys love sticks, the seaside graffiti, for the railings one-note xylophone, for the flower pot, litter bin, tin can drum, for the boomerang that never comes back, for the fishing rod with string and pin, for the pirate cutlass, Cheyenne arrow, Zulu spear, for the alien zapper, for the cavalry sabre, swish and slice of dandelion necks, for cheek on stock, for sniper's squint, for aim taken, for finger bent, squeezed. Little boys love sticks. This is a poem called May the 3rd, and I put a subheading to it, O Arglwydd Dyma Gamwedd, which I'm sure the Merthyr people know. It's what Dick Penderyn said on the scaffold. O Lord, this is injustice. At first you think it a blurred still from some costume drama, or perhaps the lighting director's sketch. Here the shadows, there the spotlight. But we are witnesses to murder, a war crime, the painting of martyrdom. Not of Stephen accepting the stones, not of punctured Sebastian, or any of that back catalogue, haloed and meek. But we are at the killing fields. Downright, the firing squad, all bulky uniforms and weapons. Their faces we do not see as they nuzzle into their muskets. No faces, orders followed, aim taken, duty. Already there are bodies and blood. There is a lantern. It is when civilized countries conduct their executions before dawn. To the left, some people crouch amongst the dead, some kneel in the blood. They wait for the fusillade. One man, dazed, looks up and beyond. The monk prays or pleads. The woman clutches a bundle. A baby? A few cover their eyes. And all the time, the central figure, the one we must look at, his shirt impossibly white, is pinned in the lantern's beam. Behold the man, our man, one of us, arms outthrust, crucified on the night. Look at his hands, Goya insists, the stigmata. But this is no saviour, no miracle worker. He is no hero with dashing good looks. He is one of us. Maybe a shoemaker or a holier, perhaps a joiner, perhaps a thief. One of us. He screams at the soldiers to look at him, to show their faces. And he screams for us, for all of us, at the guns and into the dark. I am a man, he screams. This is injustice. And the musket hammers click. I revised it a little. Die the Dog's Republican Dictionary. Balmoral. Word used to describe people who own a number of houses and keep them for personal use. Compare immoral. Birthday honours list. Absurd procedure in which some people are given awards for doing their jobs. Compare favouritism, nepotism and payoff. Civil list. Organised freebies on a massive scale. See also tax dodgers, compare benefits cheats. Christmas message. Time allotted for postprandial nap on December the 25th. Corgi. Offensive term for traitor or quisling. E.g. Remember that George Thomas? He was a right corgi. Court, where tennis is played. Court correspondent, lackey, servile person. See also eunuch. Crown, symbol of sporting success. E.g. heavyweight crown, triple crown. Crown jewels, booty, ill-gotten gains, male genitalia, vulgar. Duke of Edinburgh, more commonly, to do a duke. 1. To speak offensively to people of different races and backgrounds and carry it off as jokey eccentricity. 2. To drive dangerously. Emperor, large penguin or butterfly. Empire, territory of large penguin or butterfly. Imperial, type of mint. Jubilee, glorious opportunity for the generation of quick profits through the manufacture and sale of colourful crap. NB, Jubilee can only be used when preceded by silver, gold or diamond. King, term of adulation bestowed on those who have given great pleasure, e.g. Elvis Presley. Monarch, type of butterfly, also head of politically immature state. Monarchy, system of government favoured by politically immature people in which the head of state is determined by an accident of birth. Constitutional monarchy, a bizarre paradox. Nobility, descendants of minor thieves and murderers. Polo, type of mint. Prince, bit old now, the artist formerly known as. Prince of Wales, popular pub name, also person without purpose. Princess, expensive clothes horse, also journalist's masturbatory fantasy. Queen, erstwhile rock combo of somewhat decadent style. Queen's speech, term used by speech therapists to describe the strangulation of vowels. Regal, popular name for cinema in the 1940s. Royal Tour, event designed to encourage the manufacture and sale of small flags in foreign countries. Royalist, deluded sycophant. Royalty, 1. Payment to artist on publication or performance of work. 2. Descendants of major thieves and murderers. Royal wedding, an elaborate and expensive diversion which causes the media to lose all sense of reality. See also the Olympic Games and England's World Cup hoax. Subject, person better described as object. Throne, seat, toilet seat, vulgar. Hence, heir to the throne, next in queue for toilet. Heir apparent, only person waiting to go to toilet. Heir presumptive, person who thinks he should always be first in the queue for the toilet. Loyalty to the throne, constipation. And finally, Windsor, verb, to change your name for commercial or political expediency, e.g. Marathon Bar, Windscale, Saxe Coburg, Gotham.
The crops are all in and the peaches are rotting. The oranges are stacked in their creosote dumps. They're flying them back to the Mexican border. Takes all their money to wait back again. Farewell to my friends, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigo, Jesu Maria. You won't have a name when you ride the big aeroplane. All they will call you will be devotee. My father's own father, he waded that river. They took all the money he made in his life. My sisters and brothers worked in the fruit fields, and they rode on the trucks till they lay down and died. Farewell to my friends, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigo, Jesu Maria. Oh, you won't have a name when you ride the big aeroplane, all they will call you will be devotee. Some of us are illegal, some are unwanted. Our work permits out we've got to move on. It's 600 miles to the Mexican border. They chase us like outlaws, like rustlers, like thieves. Farewell to my friends, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigo, Jesu Maria. No, you won't have a name when you ride the big aeroplane. All they will call you will be deportee. The plane caught fire above Los Gatos Canyon. A fireball of lightning, it shook all the hills. And who are these friends who scattered like dry leaves? The radio said they were just deportees. Farewell to my friends, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigo, Jesu Maria. You won't have a name when you ride the big aeroplane. All they will call you will be deportee.
The generals are on the march again. Rearm, rearm, they tell us, loud and clear. Have they learned nothing from Afghanistan? Are they blind to chaos in Iraq? But ask them, if you get a chance sometime, what enemies we arm ourselves against. Do they believe a guided missile cures the angst of some indoctrinated youth? Or would assassination by a drone prove more effective and less risky too? And here's a mystery I can't explain. That when I visit Switzerland to see my grandchildren, I never feel unsafe despite the lack of nuclear weaponry. And when I go to Ireland to walk the fields and woods my grandfather knew so well, am I at risk because the country air is quite devoid of military jets? Oh, generals, it's quite clear you need enemies like farmers need the rain. Without your enemies, where would you be? No fancy uniform, no salary, no one to prick their heels and salute, no medals for your chest, no job. So here's a message for all simple folk, the quiet ones who lead productive lives. Beware of generals. Every time I gather in my flock, I thank my lucky stars I'm not a sheep. Cajoled and bullied, chased around by dogs, pushed into folds and forced into a race. And what comes next? They surely ask themselves, foul medicine forced roughly down their throats, feet trimmed while squatting on a concrete floor, a hypodermic needle jabbed inside their leg, perhaps squeezed into that small catching pen before some uncouth shearer clips their coats. Their mates found for them, never have a choice. Their little ones were whisked away too soon, their tails cut off, and those unlucky boys, castrated and dehorned, no painkillers. It's time that sheep demanded basic human rights. Get organised, set up a picket line, and build a powerful trade union. When the Romans arrived in Carmarthen, they built a substantial fort, constructed a road up to London, and Carmarthen became a port. Life must have been tough for the people in the dark ages after they left, for the tribesmen could be pretty brutal, with killings and mayhem and theft. But things settled down after Cromwell, and Carmarthen became a fine place, with a racetrack, good shops and a bridewell, a mayor and town clerk with a mace. Ships came up the Towie to dock there, bringing coal and tallow and salt, and took away butter and leather, and timber and marble and malt. There were churches and chapels and scholars, almshouses and charity schools, architects, painters and authors, and probably one or two fools. Salmon and suet in season were plentiful, all freshly caught, and vegetables, beef and bacon could always be locally bought. Weren't people much wiser back then? Why are there no ships in the docks? So what has gone wrong with Carmarthen? Why are there so many closed shops? The mart has moved to the outskirts. After traders have gone the same way. And despite the campaigners' best efforts, her hen life is fading away. The salmon you purchase in Tesco doesn't come from the Towie, of course. Do you think their prices are low? Are you sure that their beef isn't horse? The tables and chairs and the sofas were not made around here at all. And the shoes and the coats and the breeches from China or Bay of Bengal. The culture of corporate greed in the multiple retail chains cares nothing for human need, but just for financial gains. Take a look at the guy at the peak. And up there, who do you find? A man on 2,000 a week who cultivates more of his kind. Up with the people, down with that king. Put a stop to this ongoing farce. Storm County Hall Monday morning and kick someone hard in the arse.
Pieces. But this is about Graham. Graham is a mild-mannered middle-aged man. The play is set in his bedroom, a small room with one window and one door. It is furnished with a single bed, a wardrobe, 2 chairs and nothing much else. Graham has some form of mental illness. It's not very clear what it is. But I've just taken her tea up this morning when she said, "Graham, I think the world of you." I said, "I think the world of you." And she said, "That's all right then. What brought this up?" She said, "Nothing. This too looks strong. Pull the curtains." Of course, I knew what she brought it on. She said, "I wouldn't like to think you're not number one." So I said, "Well, you're number one with me. Give me your teeth, I'll swill them." What it was, we had a spot of excitement yesterday. We ran into a bit of mother's past. I said to her, "I didn't know you had a past. I thought I was your past." She said, "Well, we go back a long way." "How does he fit in vis-a-vis Dad?" She laughed. "Oh, he was pre-Dad," I said. "Pre-Dad? I'm surprised you remember him. You don't remember to switch your blanket off." She said, "That's different. His name's Turnbull." I said, "I know," he said. I parked her by the War Memorial on her usual seat while I went and got reading matter. Then I waited while she went and spent a penny in the disabled toilet. She's not actually disabled, her memory's bad, but she says she prefers their toilets because you get more elbow room. She always takes forever diddling her hands and whatnot, and when she eventually comes back it turns out she's chatting to the attendant. I said, "What about?" She said, "Hanging." She was in favour of stiffer penalties for minor offences. And I thought, well, we know better, our Graham and me. I wish you'd been here, love. You could have given her the statistics. Where are we going for our tea? The thing about Mum is that though she never had a proper education, she picked up enough from me to be able to hold her own in discussion with them up-to-the-minute issues like the environment and the colour problem. And for a woman of her age and background, she has a very liberal slant. She looked at my garden and she actually thinks for herself. Dr. Chowdhury said to me, "Full marks, Graham. The best way to avoid a broken hip is to have a flexible mind. Keep up the good work." They go mad round the War Memorial, so when we came crossover, I'll generally slip my arm around hers until we're safely across. Only once when we're on the pavement, she'll postpone letting it go because once upon a time she stopped by one of the questionnaire women who reckoned to take us for husband and wife. I mean, Mum's got white hair. She was doing the dodge and I said, "Mum, let go of my arm." I didn't really wrench it. Only thing was I knew she's flat on the pavement and I said, "Oh my God, Mother." People gathered round and I pick up her bag and she sits up and said, "I've laddered both my stockings." I said, "Never mind your stockings, what about your pelvis?" She said, "It's these bifocals, they tell you not to look down." I was avoiding some sick. Somebody says, "That's a familiar voice," and there's this little fella bending over a green trilby hat, shorty raincoat. "Hello," he said, "remember me." I'll just leave it at that, just a short.
So this one's called Panacea. Panacea. Work. The panacea for all bills. Maroons, maudlin minions,
amid an ant-like existence. 'Tis an unsavoury saviour. Mine, many money, many moony must, immersed amidst moany meanies immoral mire. Here our harrowed, Hades harried coteries, caricature, cri de coeur. Some swarm, squirm, as mismatched, mishmash mush, under the messianic master's metaphorical thumb. Egregious is the dispirited proletariat, ineluctable little lot. Descry us here described, decried, derided, bedraggled, beleaguered. Behold, bedevilled, milling millions effectively effaced, facing subsistence. Bow broken, brow beaten, woe begone are we. Haunted, hunted, hounded to the hilt, moved to a halt by inertia. An almost endless eon is spent on onerous travails inside insalubrious establishments, till toil takes its telltale toll. Discombobulated, subjugated objects are subjected to abject indignity and utmost misery by the miserly, masterly. Once spliced spirits, split, splinter, sliced as spattered, scattered, shattered shards. Inordinately subordinate status conferred upon the ubiquitous penurious appears exacerbated by irascible, bombastic bosses et al., our supposed betters. Dour, so-called superiors sneer, iniquitously inflicting invidious tasks on the restless rest. Those chippy chumps seem simian, a bitter, misbegotten ilk whose pusillanimousness is messily enmeshed with insidious perniciousness. Offish oaths, perfidious whip-hand words, wound, wind up. Maleficent hubris infests scurrilous, supercilious sorts. Magnanimity and its concomitant complement of complementary complements are anathematic to an unkind kind. Malignity is their manifestly odious modus operandi. Folly foully fuels fools. Ignoramuses resemble ignominious asses. Irksome shirkers such as smudgy these besmirch workers. Every weary employee genuflecting beside the grim grindstone becomes nose close to comatose. But, albeit begrudgingly, bug-ugly drudgery budges. Despair mars our compadre's cadre nevermore. Deleterious immiseration seemingly relinquishes its grotesque grasp, as relished wages assuage angst amongst unctuous us. Imminent escape inspires ecstasy, sires exhilaration, fires exaltation in the midst of delirious masses. Adrenaline runs dementedly, then delinquesces. We feel really relieved. Revelry is revealed, while reviled civility slips into misty mystery. Gleeful, we flee fleet, fear-free, far from crashing consciousness, crushing incarceration. Thank you.
I carried on watching. Anyways, it's called A Quiet Terrorist. Basically, it's a revenge poem anyway. Quiet Terrorist. The image he saw was lost in fogs of print. Small corpses, a bundle of dead friends, heads flopped to one side. He saw bombed schoolrooms, the village blasted flat, the streaks of blood, the pummeled bone, skin torn by shrapnel, skin bubbled and cracked. He saw hollows tucked away for 3 and 4 foot boxes. He
He lined up those that lived by swords and howled at ramming speed his rage. May all that brought this blood be they bugle caller, string puller, purse keeper, war whooper, gunsmith. May they drop with pox, catch the mange. May they hang on hooks strangled with their own ties, or left with breath, eyes bulged, their purple throats struck with slime. Then may they lack a tongue and slew from side to side. May they go down by belting, by thumping with stones, by trampling, by battering, by cleaving with shovels, slicing with wire, by the swallowing beast, by hatchets, by fire and smoke, by boiling oil, by the slitting of organ, the plucking of joint. And may their lousy souls be flung on dumps, the flesh dressed with slime, made quarry for a cloud of flies. Thank you. And went on. It's called America First. In a still corner I sat there, eyes hooked, the small screen fixed towards me. I was camped by fire on western land, quick with restless guns, Arizona, Kansas, Oklahoma. I was 7 summers old, a sugarfoot at first. At 8 I was a hired hand. At 9 I had my own ranch. Then I hankered for the running of a jailhouse. I rode out to Wyoming to wear a marshal's badge. On a day dark for them, cutthroats in saloons would hear my spurs, would know my buckskin shirt. They'd be slapped around to ragtime tunes, then triggered through a pair of swinging doors. Rustlers wiped the blood that flowed down from a buckled mouth. My Winchester would see a stagecoach safe. Puberty for me was ringed with gun smoke. I killed at Deadwood, Wichita and Tombstone, though with customary self-respect, I never shot an outlaw in the back. My ways and means unbroken, a sheriff with an iron fist to dish out lead and blue fat eyes. Hell-bent, my world was black and white. But older, looking west with sharpening eyes, I rode looser in the saddle. Growing there before me, new colours, different trails. Then to manhood and the switching of my notions, I saw ranchers, lawmen, cowboys on Ku Klux flags unfolding, so stubborn with the images that now my head is stuck. It's someone singing Dixie, the swagger of a Texan heel, a Stetson thrown in showboat rings, neckerchiefs worn to dress the reddest necks. It's a leader yapping without end to drive his brick wall mission. It gathers ground, the land of cotton. Today my grandson sits in his own still corner. There's a cannon in his hand and he's killing on a Yankee screen. Thank you.
A poem called Red. Red of the good, red of the bad, red of the sin, red of the mad, red of the right, red of the wrong, red of the words of redemption song, red of the armies, red of the wars, red of the crimes, red of the laws, red of the living, red of the dead, red of the lies and the truths unsaid, red of the sights, red of the sounds, red of the lost, red of the found, red of our yesterdays, red of tomorrows, red of the joys and all of our sorrows, red of the days, red of the nights, red of the stars, red of the lights, red of the keys, red of the locks, red of the secrets, sealed in a box. Vladimir Mayakovsky was a Russian poet. He lived from 1893 to 1930, and he wrote a poem called A Good Attitude to Horses, which is which he noted sort of a human indifference to animal suffering. And there was a case last week of a horse that collapsed in Cardiff. It reminded me of that poem. So I wrote the poem up and I sort of wrote a response to it, connecting it with what happened in Cardiff. So, a better attitude towards horses after Vladimir Mayakovsky. Beating hooves seem to sing, clip, clap, clop, clap, clip on Cardiff cobbles. a sad spring-strong song of heat stroke for this worst for weather on West Great Street working animal. Suddenly she fell in the dust at dusk, plonked down outside the Principality Stadium. No one laughed or scorned her, but there were raucous cries for those who laid her low. The street flow stopped for a horse in distress. Some sign of human progress, I'm glad to say, Vladimir. It would do your heart good to see her stood in the stall in the sanctuary, feeling the colt inside of her growing, a life worth living, helping those who cannot ask. This is work worth doing.
If everyone believed children are a blessed gift, that loving sex leads to bliss, to the union of God and Goddess within human beings, why then would we need bishops and priests to intercede for us minions, to speak to God on our behalf, and claim taxes that we cannot afford for that privilege? If bastard was an uninvented word, if there were no Adam and Eve, if the word is the beginning and music can heal, if songbirds sing colours and rock stars give release, if passions are embraced, if love gives us bliss, heaven on earth is lived, if humans listen to their own truth. Heresy? Free will? Can priests have sex? Can women be ordained? Can. Heaven on earth? Original sin? A newborn baby bringing in all the hopes and dreams of new life. Original blessing. Original love, original sex, man and woman. An. Do what you love who you are. There are no ugly babies. Fuck you, Big Pharma. Fuck you, plastic surgeons. Fuck you, America. Fuck you. Because I don't want to fuck any of you. I only want the children to know that they are here to grow and shine, not to wither and die before flowering. Cherish the children, or Big Pharma will get them. America's war machine will suck them in. They'll believe media lies and advertising gloss. Mother Nature exists. We are part of her. We hold atoms that others have held. We breathe air that others have breathed. Broth, air, brothel, fuck, brother, male. Women, believe in yourselves, your men and your children. Breathe, grow, shine, equally, nurture fully, nature fully. We are all one. What is there to shout about? Every fucked up child I've worked with has been fucked up by those whose role it was to love, to protect and to nurture. It begins at birth. Babies hear everything before leaving the cocoon of their mother's womb. Are we so different from butterflies? There are no ugly children, only lies. There are no lovely children, unless we all open our eyes and see who we really are inside.
This is apparently a true story, as recorded by Edward Matthews Owenny in his story about Shenkin Penheath. So though the gentleman's name wasn't actually Will just sounds better, it fits the rhyme better. So, Will was the very best they had, the fulcrum of their team. A golden man, he jinked, he swerved, his passing was a dream. With him they won the league, the cup, the crown. Each new award fell to the magic of his touch. He was their shield, their sword. Until one day he chanced to hear a passing preacher's word and fell a prey to doctrines some would say were quite absurd. I can no longer join you, friends, he told them. They, aghast, could not believe he'd changed so much, so cruelly, so fast. My mind is fixed on higher things, he added, and they wept, to think of all the glory lost, the promises unkept. They tempted him with beer and girls. They even offered gold, but nothing worked. Each crafty plan they tried just left him cold. Till finally they took a shirt in the colours of their team and placed it where he'd surely see the rich, seductive gleam. He saw, he trembled, stretched his hand to touch the scarlet cloth, then stopped in anguish, torn between love and high heaven's wrath. Love lost. The fallen hero held to his ungentle creed. His teammates mourned their championship. Their day was done indeed. And as his 70 passed by in holiness, till he forgotten that wild gift he'd struggled to repress. Until the summons came, he rose to realms celestial, to find with some astonishment his teammates, stick and ball. And there God stood, and Peter too, in a hopeful sort of way. You see, said God, I've one regret. I never saw you play. If you could just, I hardly like, one game, that's all we ask. Will looked around him, saw his friends, knew he'd attempt the task. We've found a team for you to play, St. Peter said, the best, with Henry VIII and Edward I at Lucifer's request. And so, if you should chance to hear thunder from skies of blue, or catch a glimpse of red at dusk, well now, I'll tell you true. It's not some scientific law behind that mighty noise, but God and St. Peter cheering on the Margam Bando boys. Thank you.
Breeding success. Don't tell them how to do it. Ask them to do it. Don't tell them to follow a path. Let them make it. Don't tell them no. Tell them yes. Always praise the very best. Never judge. Never test. That's for your purpose. Take a rest. More is less to breed success. Don't press. I think that's for the educational policy that's failing in this country. It's not breeding success. It's associating education with status more than the concept of success. Anyway, money. Money serves wants more than needs. That's the way it thrives and breeds. Good for some, but not for many. That's the way of failing money. Think again. Deep and hard. That's the thought of one old bard. There's a way. There always is. If not so, then kneel and pray. For time won't weep our ending day. It starts again another day. Like hawthorn blooms in glorious May,
midst thorns of winters white and grey. But that thing that walks by to silence us all, money, is leading us to disaster. And we need to think, what the hell is it that money is that's doing this? What is it in money that's doing this? "90 years is a long time," some folk say, but for me, it's gone like a day. It started when summer flowers grew and blossomed, life for me with you. The world was awake with hope and dreams as we walked the time that's been through the fields and the lanes and wondrous glades. We roamed the hills and deepest shades. Now evenings come warm and bright, the sky aglow with light, and the red and the gold and gathering blue is ruby touched, my love for you. So dance with me, my dear, for all of time, your star embraced in mine. We will waltz to the songs of perfect days, through all the wondrous starlight ways. That's the experience of a 90-year-old. About love, because love once found. Once you have found love, you can find it everywhere. No need to look far under God's heavenly star. Hate will seek darkness in every bright jewel, but love's light shines brightest where hate grows most cruel. So seek love then. Always. It transforms all things. Create reality on night's dark canvas. Give light its painted wings. And glory in joy it sometimes brings when time's blessing once found. And just being sings. Thank you.
I asked my love to take a walk, just a little walk, down beside where the waters flow, down by the banks of the Ohio, and only say you'll be mine, and in no other's arms entwined. Down beside where the waters flow, down by the banks of the Ohio. I held a knife against her breast, when into my arms she pressed. She cried, "Oh Billy, don't murder me, I'm not prepared for eternity." They only say that you'll be mine, and in no other's arms entwined. Down beside where the waters flow, down by the banks of the Ohio. I wandered home between 12 and 1. I cried, my God, what have I done? Killed the only woman I loved, because she would not be my bride. And only say you'll be mine, and in no other's arms entwined. side, where the waters flow, down by the banks of the Ohio, down by the banks of the Ohio.